I'm starting to believe that if we make accountability cool, in the same way that we view being politically woke, in the same way in entrepreneurship that we view the grind, in the same way that we view watches, in the same way that we view activism and giving back, you know, all these things that I just mentioned, a decade ago, not cool. Like it wasn't. Everything I just mentioned, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, not in the consciousness. I believe if we make accountability super cool, it will lead to enormous amounts of happiness.
You would end water cooler talk. You would end the people calling up and trying to find a friend just so they agree to them while they're complaining. You would have more productivity and more output. You said something, it's like, you don't have to be the best of the best, but you have to be the best version of yourself. Yes. And that's what people have to go after.
Yes.
And when you hold yourself accountable, you are putting forth the best version of yourself.
Like there's a lot of people that know the answers, but they do not have the luxury of DNA that allows them to communicate it in a compelling enough way to actually break through a human being's brain and rejigger their perspective. That's all I have. That's all I have. 100%. It's not super complicated. Gift of gab, energy, the articulation of wordsmithing, the intent, the gratitude within oneself to be able. The reason there's so much energy is it's predicated on gratitude. Gratitude, I love when people leave comments in my content. They literally leave comments like cocaine, Ritalin, they do that. And I very much understand it because there's a lot of energy behind it. But what's really fascinating to me, and I see it in you, and I see it in a lot of other people, there is nothing that gets people into more of that state than gratitude and perspective and accountability, all these things. Accountability leads to maybe you're miffed at your mom, right? Maybe I've helped you through my content to say, actually, it's your mom who's your problem. But then when you take that and actually put it on a shelf and say, yes, but it's my accountability to accept it or not. Then when you deploy empathy and say, yeah, but her mom did that to her. All of a sudden, you don't resent your mom, even though you've had the epiphany of like, fuck, that's the problem. And you take it on you, which then allows you to get light. It's fun to not resent your mom anymore because who wants to really? And then you start chipping away at accountability and like you just change the framework. It's acknowledging it. You have to know it's in the room, but it goes to not blaming that because that becomes the crutch and the excuse. You have full control. You have full fucking control. Not Donald Trump, not Facebook's algorithm, not, anybody else. You.
Nope.
Let me take out the other excuse of why you, for yourself and your business, aren't posting. Not everybody is great on camera. I get that. Not everybody is so wildly charismatic and very good looking. I get it. However, on the flip side, I am incapable of writing. It's not my natural skill. I struggle with reading and writing. It's not my skill. Plenty of people here are incredible writers, and it is an incredible opportunity to go write 6 to 15 sentences together around a thought on LinkedIn and hit post. Others can work in Photoshop and make a picture. Others enjoy. I don't. I was born in the Soviet Union and grew up in a very Eastern European household. I think there's like 8 pictures of me in my entire youth, right? We didn't take photos, so it doesn't come natural to me. On the other hand, there are people in here who took 97 photos on their iPhone yesterday. There are plenty of people here who are great at taking photos. My question here today, my friends, is very simple. When are you gonna start talking? What are you waiting for? If you are not communicating, you don't exist. I believe that. If you are not communicating, you do not exist. More importantly, communicate about what you love. What scares me about the long tail of the internet is I know there's somebody sitting in here who's watched every episode of Friends, okay? Deeply loves Friends. Can't get enough in their own mind of debating Rachel and Ross. Loved the show. watch it every night to go to sleep to. And I know they make $49, $62, $88, $103,000 a year doing something they don't like. And I know that if they started a podcast about friends every day when they went home, instead of consuming content to escape the fact that they don't like their job, if they created content around the thing they love, that after 24, 36, 48 months, that along could have came Netflix and been a sponsor of that podcast that would allow them to actually leave that job they hate and now be a full-time Friends podcaster. You absolutely have to think about, how do you communicate best? I do it through video, and then I script the video and make audio, and that's how I do my podcast. But I'm not a great writer, so I get interviewed by my writer, and then it becomes first person. Not everybody has to do everything best, but you do have to be self-aware of how you communicate to your end consumer. The written word, voice, and video have always been and will always be the three platforms. You have to decide how your organization is going to do that best. Not everybody is as extroverted. Not everybody is unbelievably charismatic. You know, like not everybody, right? And so you've got to understand what you're looking to build around. I am not preaching for you to build your personal brand. I'm preaching for you to build brand, right? You don't have to build it around yourself, and I know that's the common play and people do it. And by the way, if you like it, if you like the attention, if you like the cameras, if you like the accolades and the laughs, God bless. It's a lot of fun, promise, super awesome. But there are tens of thousands of people making real fucking money, building brands around their businesses that you've never heard of, and that's what they've deployed it against. That matters. One of the reasons I started making cartoons, which I think some of you have seen on LinkedIn or Instagram, is because I keep trying to find ways to show you that there's a million ways to communicate. You don't have to have gift for gab, one take improv ability to go. You might write incredibly well, and your 7 paragraphs on the current state of long tail SEO, post on LinkedIn and get the hell out and see 3 inbound leads is real, and it will go away because I'm yelling loud. Half will do it, some will do it, one will do it, and then it will get saturated. The attention will be matched by the amount of content. Ads will go into the ecosystem. You understand? How many times do you have to see this happen? Listen, I get tens of thousands of DMs from kids that are in their 20s and 30s that have deep underlying resentment and depression because their parents are quietly paying for their lives. Which I then tell them, like, don't take the money, jerk. But there's almost nothing worse than a parent subsidizing secretly their child's grown-up life. It will eventually be exposed and talked about, and I can't wait, because a lot of the underlying depression that is confusing people is actually coming from those sources. And it's even scarier when you dig underneath it, because what you start realizing is parents want to posture in front of their friends that little Sally and Johnny are doing well, and that's why they're riding a BMW or have a business when quietly they're the ones paying for it.